All right. Holy, MC autograph time, wow. Are you guys ready for another match? We're getting there, man. We're getting near the end. This is gonna be an epic ZVT because we're gonna have this apparent prodigy from Spain take on beast mode Terran SuperNova. So I'm gonna bring him out here. Please, warm welcome for Karante VortiX. And his opponent, the man of the hour, MTW SuperNova. You guys ready? Shake hands. Good luck, have fun. And the casters will take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Gamescom casting booth here. I'm angry, and I'm happy, and I'm excited to get into this series. Do you know why day 9?
I mean, I will give some reasons that will hopefully address what you're implying. Right now, SuperNova, MC, and VortiX are through. They are the top 3, and the question is, who's going to be in the first place position? Because in the playoffs, if you get first place, you get to advance to round 2. Everyone else who got second and third has to go to round 1, the round of 16 that will be seed played tomorrow morning. So, if VortiX beats SuperNova, and if MC loses even one game to Hasuabs, then VortiX will be in first place position in the group. If VortiX wins 2-0 and MC wins 2-0, it's a perfect 3-way tie, and we'll actually stay here and play tiebreakers, which could possibly go on indefinitely.
Which, in other words, means more games. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that day 9. And there's another lovely little reason I'm very excited right now. And that's because I get to cast some VortiX, and I am a big fan.
Oh, that's a lot more simple. It's like, do you know why I'm excited? I'm like, well, let me tell you a complicated series of incidences that could go on.
We're going to include some algorithms here in order to be able to determine who is going to be able to come out victorious here. But no, we're going to be casting VortiX. But before we get on to why I'm so excited about that, we have SuperNova here. As he was being Keen and MC during the qualification stages. Now, the interesting thing here is that SuperNova was not initially invited to the tournament. He did not qualify to begin with. It was MMA from Slayers that actually qualified. SuperNova, though, MMA was unable to attend. SuperNova from there on was invited because he was the next person in the list on the line. So, SuperNova here representing, and he's doing pretty good for himself. He is indeed. And then we have VortiX. Now, what can I tell you about him?
Now, VortiX beat 9 players. It's a good number of people to beat. Yeah. Daisy Moman Show, Sokka, White Raw, Feast, Koss, and Elfie, and one player who's not even on there, because you'll notice that there are 8 names, and 8 is oftentimes less than 9 Kelaris. The important thing about VortiX is that he plays an incredibly unique style. He plays his own style. It's very drop-oriented, very Baneling Muta-oriented, and it gives so many players so much trouble. He recently went 2-3 with MVP Keen in the recent Team Liquid Star League 4 round of 16, and here he is ready to go up against SuperNova in his best matchup.
Now, whilst I'm very excited to cast VortiX here, at the same time, SuperNova, to me, is like an elevated Keen. He does pretty much everything that Keen will do, but at that little peg higher. No, he's not necessarily as aggressive as Keen. Keen sometimes does bring out all that, you know, major aggression.
One base,
blood,
all
blood,
ends,
blood, that kind of thing. But SuperNova just showing during this tournament alone that he is a force to be reckoned with, and this is going to be
really
a damn good series.
I was just so thrilled to see him do this Banshee Cloak play against MC and Hasu. Just an aggressive play. Not a lot of Marine Marauder, but the most sicky, amazing, tasty, delicious attack time. He's excited to see what he has here. In game number 1, it's going to be on Ohana. In the top left, there's only 2 players on MTW, and he's one of them. It's MTW SuperNova.
And spawning down in the bottom right-hand corner here, we do have flown all the way in from Spain. Brother of Lucifron, give it up for Current 3's VortiX.
Now, I mean, you were talking a lot about being excited to watch VortiX play. In this Zerg vs. Terran matchup, what is it that you're particularly looking forward to?
VortiX has a very, I mean, obviously everyone knows this, he has a very ample practice partner in the form of Lucifron. Now, when we actually approached the World Championship Spain Nationals for Blizzard, we suddenly found out during interviews that VortiX, despite actually end up losing to his brother during the finals in that tournament, he, during practice, goes up against Lucifron and is able to win the majority of the games in practice. Now, from there on, he has such a database and such a wealth of knowledge from his brother going into this kind of matchup that he's able to bring in these furious macro games where he knows that he has to shut down drops on every angle. Yes, of course, players know that, but he knows the timings at which they're going to be coming and every little subtle detail of how a push will look in the mid as the movements are going through the sides here. And Ohana is a big kind of map for that. He does like his Ultralisk play going up against Terran.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, it can be devastating. And SuperNova, though, he's a very strong contender here against VortiX.
This is interesting. SuperNova is not gassing yet. I honestly would have expected him to go gas Barracks and just do the all-out Hellion Banshee play that we see so many Terrans do. But look at that. There's 2 Barracks going down. I mean, another totally acceptable way to play. Add on 2 more Barracks, then get the 2 Geysers and do kind of like a Marine with Combat Shield Marauder push. But we haven't really seen anything else quite yet out of SuperNova. He needs to go ahead and get his orbital commands first. But I'm just surprised to see SuperNova not gassing.
Yep. And for now, VortiX is just going to be playing his pretty standard game here. Now, VortiX is one of those players who, after seeing, you know, a very quick command center, will be liable to throw down a 3rd base. But more importantly, one thing that VortiX brings to the table here in ZVT specifically is potential aggression after seeing that 2nd command center going down. Now, sometimes, and especially against the likes of SuperNova, who is also very liable to throwing down many a bunker, probably won't see that from him. No doubt he's seen a lot of SuperNova's games. Hell, a lot of us, just in general, have seen a lot of SuperNova's games because of his stable presence in GSL. And for now, VortiX just chasing away this SCV, and no gas is taken from him just yet.
SuperNova's adding on 2 Marines at a time is looking like he wants to do a little bit of Marine aggression. Given how tiny Ohana is, it's a decent map to do that sort of Marine aggression on. Hellions tend to be the flavor of choice on larger maps like Daybreak, and really any map is a good flavor for Hellions. But here, SuperNova is kind of teasing the idea of going for an attack, is getting his factory down now. I'm a little... That is an unusual timing for a factory. I mean, I guess he could just go for Hellion play, but doesn't... Actually, of all things, I think he's just going to get tanks just straight up. There's something that really clicks in my head.
Yeah, normally you would end up seeing, like, Terrans end up having, like, a sufficient bank of, like, I don't know, around 400, 500 gas after applying some Marine pressure, which is something we always see SuperNova do, trying to deny that 3rd location. In fact, he's actually moving down here with these Marines to maybe try and deny a 3rd potential. And SuperNova does this so well. It's something he did exactly the same way against Killer in one of the opening games that I ended up solo casting, but unfortunately you weren't able to see because we were in another series. So this is exactly the same build right now from SuperNova that he used against Killer.
Oh, SuperNova forces the cancel, gets the Overlord, instantly sprinting to quite the lead. And how will VortiX answer? It looks like VortiX has a bunch of slow links that will not be able to do much of any damage to these Marines. And this is, I really hope SuperNova... I'm so confused as to what's going on with this factory. I mean, this Marine push at the start, that's fine and dandy and well. This 3rd command center makes sense.
He's going to go for the Banshees. And again, actually, this is... I should have probably iterated this a little bit earlier, but this is exactly the same build. Literally exactly the same, including that Marine poke that he used against Killer in game number 1 on exactly the same map. So, I mean, he's getting Cloak out now. He's going to put on that slightly delayed Banshee aggression, which can sometimes catch players well off guard because the timing is just a little bit wonky here on this map.
I guess as you know, you're starting to explain what went on in that last match. I guess when you piece it together, it starts to make more sense that if he can deny a third base, it's very difficult to deal with a Banshee follow-up here. We do see VortiX now taking up to that layer. We also see him getting his double upgrades. He's looking a lot, well, actually, he should be getting the double upgrades. Hiding underneath everything are these two evolution chambers sitting a little bit idly. But VortiX, I just hope, starts to doing something that looks like the usual VortiX that we know. Maybe a lot of ground units, that wicked good creep spread, because right now everything's been a little stilted by that early Marine poke.
Yeah, and for now, VortiX just getting that creep spread going very, very avidly here. Those Queens providing him with around 10 active creep tumors at this point in order to be able to get that creep going so quickly over across Ohana. And we've said it many, many a time. It's so unsparingly easy to be able to get that going on Ohana because of the one field of plane. And right now, SuperNova poking in with this initial Banshee. Cloak finishing up in just a second, and there's no Spore Crawler to speak of, but he just morphs in that Overseer just a little bit earlier than one would have assumed. Some really nice play here by VortiX.
That's a good little pre-detection going on there. And, oh, man, that's going to be a difficult set of Queens to get away from, but somehow he gets out of there? What? Now SuperNova's going to be skirting around this back edge, and no doubt pulling back pretty quickly. VortiX again. He's not your new school modern player. No, he's going to be going straight for that Spire play, and it looks like this Banshee is going to go down. See you later, Banshee.
Bye-bye, Banshee. As that creep just getting crazy in the middle here, and he's getting those Mutalisks on the way as well. And again, I really do like Mutalisks on Ohana. There are the potentials here, and actually SuperNova's already going to do it. He's just like setting up that missile turret barrier, so there's not really much of a chance he can actually get into the main to be able to put on some aggression. And in fact, putting missile turrets down right next to each other, that is a little bit of an overstatement. Again, if you actually consider one space to be a 2x2 hex, in the same fashion that the one space is a chess space, then if you place the one missile turret in the same way that a knight would move, then the two missile turrets actually hit the Mutalisks without taking the preceding bounces from those glaive worms. So that is a nice little tip.
Oh, that's an interesting description. Yeah, if it, like, so for instance, if a turret was placed here.
Yes, exactly.
That is a pretty cool fact. Yeah, VortiX. We'll end up running into some walls either way with those two turrets there. Definitely will be able to do the maximum amount of output damage while taking a little bit of extra damage against those Mutalisks, as you were stating. But VortiX looks like he's doing this really cool, ultra-modern twist on Zergling Baneling. He's going for the double upgrades, but he's only getting 7 mutas. No more, and then he's instantly going for that Infestation Pit to get that Hive and those Happy Time Infestors. Ooh, free Banshee. Num, num, num.
I'll admit I was slightly confused when I saw him go Spire, because VortiX is very, very proficient with his Infestor play, and advocates that kind of play a lot. And then, you know, transitioning onto the Ultralisk later on really makes for a very, very deadly combination. So he's kind of swung straight to how I was assuming he was going to play, and from here on, he's going to be able to, you know, ramp up a little bit of a containment with those Mutalisks, and he could even potentially try and catch drops, which look at where the drop is heading across his middle, but the Mutalisks move out of the way.
Oh my God, VortiX with just some atrocious luck. Oh.
No, okay. What? Whoa, he's going to go. No, he's not. Oh,
gosh, VortiX keeps having the spider sense that he needs, but he does not trust in his inner spider, and now everything is planted towards the front. Is VortiX going to see it? Is he going to react in time? The Mutalisks are all the way at the right. This is what they so definitely need to do, a near instant reaction from VortiX. He's watching that mini-map like a hawk. He will lose some drones, but there are no vital tech structures here. He loses 1, 2 drones. Only 2 drones. What an answer from VortiX.
Yeah, 2 things to point out about that. I loved the little move that SuperNova was incorporating there, leading with the Vikings, seeing if the path was clear for this drop aggression. And, you know, he got a few kills. But also there, SuperNova now knows the Hive is on the way. He's dropping scans in the middle of the map to clear up some of this creep, recede that creep so that he's not in as much a psychological disadvantage as well as a physical disadvantage here. But look at this, Ling's actually going to push forward. No, but hesitating for just a second. Actually, wisely pulling back. Those siege tanks would have ripped up a lot of those Lings.
Another drop by SuperNova, gets just eaten alive. Insta 1A with the entire force. All the troops take it down. SuperNova now pushing up to get into a good position for this frontal push, but not a lot of tanks here, Kalaris.
Not at all, as for now, there's 4 tanks can easily be ripped apart here by Zerglings if they're able to get good surface area. And he's actually going to come in from 2 fronts. Really nice fungal growth to kick this engagement off. SuperNova right now gets his tank line entirely decimated, and those Mutalisks are going to clean up the rest.
VortiX gobbles up this force of SuperNova with complete ease, and the Ultralisk Cavern is done. Mutalisk continuing to take down the Medivacs. VortiX actually could have continued to push, but man, the only thing that SuperNova's really having is a bit of an upgrade lead, as we do see the +3 getting started, but we see 3-3 en route for VortiX. We see the chitinous plating from the Ultralisk Cavern. We see 4 Ultralisks. Look at all that orange up in that top tab.
A lovely autumn shades there from VortiX as he continues to power on through this game. And again, you know, VortiX, once he gets to this Ultralisk composition with those upgrades, he feels very, very comfortable as long as he's being able to restrict his opponent in terms of economy. He's not going to get too much chance to be able to do that here as SuperNova tries to establish himself at 4th base. But actually, if he wanted to with the army size that he does have, and with these Ultralisks on the way, he could actually be able to do so.
VortiX spots the Medivac, takes it out. Another drop going on at the back. But again, very few drones falling in the midst of all of this. VortiX has only lost 13 workers, and this is the 4th drop that has happened in the course of this game.
And he has 100 Zerglings on the field, so that adrenal glands is going to benefit him so well against what SuperNova currently has. Again, he only has 6 tanks and 55 Marines here, so it's going to be hard for SuperNova to really transition into a composition that's going to be good against this. And with those 5 Ultralisks, he needs to know about, he does know about the tech. He's adding in some Marauders, but is it going to be in time?
Gosh, SuperNova is pinned on the defense. VortiX charges with the Ultralisks. He might just run away from the tanks. No, he's going to charge headlong into them. I don't know how much I like this. The Mutalisks now taking some massive hits on their own, and VortiX just threw away a lot of his lead.
Oh, he really did. I don't really fully understand that engagement there. Mutalisks actually having to fall back as well, and we just died off to the Marines in the back. And meanwhile, SuperNova does drop once again in this 4th base. Going to be able to kill up quite a few drones in the process. Around 10 extra worker kills there, and another drop heading over to the main.
Gosh, SuperNova is just so aggressive with all of this. It's really kind of stunning that in the midst of his inability to do any pushing at the front, he just says, well, I may as well continue to drill with these drops at the backsides and all these varying angles, but I just don't, it's not really working that well.
Yeah, I feel that this game's going to end up being decided, though, by the Greater Spire that's morphing in right now. He has... SuperNova was a little step behind with that Marauder transition.
Wait.
And whoa!
Oh, where'd the tanks go? VortiX accidentally catches SuperNova way off guard. A free planetary fortress, and VortiX looks like he saw an opportunity, tried to go for it, but again, without a really good angle. I mean, this choke is one of the worst that you can possibly engage at.
That's a lot of Ultralisks. 11 Ultralisks, day 9. That's pretty powerful.
Wow.
And he's going to be able to try and wiggle his way through this map. I don't think he's going to be able to really get the aggression off. But coming back to that Greater Spire that I was on about, he's constantly just committing so much to the Marauders here that he does have 12 Marauders up, yes, but that's potentially not enough. We have another drop going down in the main here to be able to deal with anything that's going on. Nice cleanup there, though. But one of the greatest... Oh, he's just dropping. Stop interrupting me, SuperNova.
SuperNova accidentally... losing a medevac to a spore crawler, and VortiX charges the main army. He just lobbed the perfect set of infested Terrans fungals. SuperNova gets destroyed. The man who is undefeated is on the verge of defeat in this game number 1. VortiX from Spain, as ZVT Phenom showing us how it's done on Ohana.
I think VortiX just dunked SuperNova there. That was brutality from those Ultralisks. I think brutal is a fine word to be able to describe Ultralisks and their method of decimation. As VortiX right now, he's just adding on those Corruptors, and again, there's no sign of any kind of Viking transition coming from SuperNova. No, not at all. He needs to reestablish this 4th base. He needs to consider the still looming threat of those Ultralisks. So with these Broodlords on the way, SuperNova is going to have a lot of trouble.
any expansion at all right now is needed for SuperNova. He's planted down one at the left, completely in vision range. Viking just shoots once at the hatchery and says, I was just kidding, it's cool, we're cool, right? He backs up, and soon enough, we're going to have 5 Ultras joined by 8 Broodlords.
Yep, and how many Starpots does he have? He has 1, and nothing else. As he's still producing medevacs here to be able to try and keep his Marauders alive for when those Ultralisks hit. So, VortiX here at this point is looking on fire, really. I don't know actually what SuperNova can do at this point to really come back here. He's constantly trying to go for these drops, and it's really nice, but kaboom, kabam, dead and done.
8 Broodlords sweeping up to the north side. 11 Corruptors in production. No expansion is here. SuperNova sprinting leftward. And interestingly, VortiX is not even really mining from this expansion. He's been doing all this with just 3 sets of gas geysers. And there's SuperNova for the first time this game. A tremendous blunder from VortiX. SuperNova is just getting a free hatch and a lot of free drones.
I actually don't mind this decision at all by SuperNova. It's pretty darn fantastic. Going for that kind of base trade-esque maneuver there just to be able to kill off that base while he's trading another potential base at that location. Meanwhile, though, the Broodlord's actually raining down havoc on here. I still don't see. He's got 2 Vikings at any given time in production, but there's a few Corruptors here as well to be able to bolster this. And again, VortiX pushing through the middle here with a very, very strong force. But actually, no, SuperNova's looking pretty good at this point in time.
Oh, the fungals that he needed landed just right. Now with Lings surrounding everything, VortiX just smokes that force and still has Broodlord Corruptor at the 3rd base as a little added bonus. VortiX, what a beast. What incredible ZVT. This has just been a treat to watch, Killaris.
VortiX, again, he made a fan of me a few months ago. He was slowly rising in provenance as he was able to qualify for Intel Extreme Masters, TSL4, etc., etc. And he's just pushing forward now. There's not really a whole lot SuperNova is going to be able to do against the Spanish onslaught here. And for now, SuperNova trying to deal with all of these Ultralisks, but there's so many strong units here from VortiX. 50 supply right now for SuperNova. GG! VortiX with a powerful game at number 1.
He just made it look so smooth. I mean, in a general sense, when you get to the hive tech, I mean, let's say I just tell you, I'm going to go Ultralisk. You manage to get your nice little army mix up. Even if I have a big supply lead with my Ultras, you should be able to crush it with the right mix of units, even if you didn't prepare. Even if I fooled you and was like, I'm going to go Broodlord, and I lied to you. Even that sort of force can deal pretty well with a Ling Ultralisk force. But VortiX was able to just wreck larger maxed armies with like a half-maxed Ling Ultra Infestor army and still have Broodlords elsewhere on the map. I mean, this stuff that hardly even makes sense on paper when you watch it happen in real life.
I've got to agree. It's difficult to be able to get to that situation where you're that comfortable with the transitions as a Zerg. And actually, I just want to throw out a wild prediction there. I'm not quite sure what our second map will be, but SuperNova is going to go mech. I'm pretty sure he's going to go mech here. Once he establishes, once that first game is done and dusted, you almost always see him open with bioplay in best of 3. And then in a second game, he almost always goes for mech. We saw it again against Killer. I saw it in qualification stages during the Korean qualifiers against every Zerg he was playing. So it's a pretty interesting kind of prediction, and I've not got too good a map for it, to be honest.
I looked over and I saw the map was Daybreak, and I was like, and you were saying about mech, Killaris. Daybreak is kind of a yucky mech map. Ohana would be much better for mech. It's a little bit thinner to deal with. On Daybreak, it's so easy to do the counterattackings, and you know what I just learned, Killaris?
What is that?
Hasuabs has taken a single match off SKMC. What this means is that if VortiX defeats SuperNova 2-0 or 2-1, it doesn't matter. That will place VortiX as #1 in the group.
I'm going to stick with my prediction. He still goes mech. I know it's a bad map. I know it is a bad map. And as soon as I saw Daybreak, I was like, that's not very nice. But I'm gonna hold to my guns here, and we shall see a SuperNova and VortiX load up onto map number 2. Guys, let's get it on.
In the top right corner. If you didn't know about him before today, you're certainly a fan now. From Team K3, it's going to be VortiX.
And spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner, our blue Terran. Hopefully, he's able to somehow go for mech on Daybreak. I don't know why he would. But ladies and gentlemen, give it up for MTW SuperNova.
You know, I feel like as a caster, part of your job duties are to list off the likely and even the unlikely possibilities of the opponents to help just give a sense of what VortiX could be worried about. You know, maybe he can go for some Hellion Banshee play. There's a couple of expand 4 racks plays that he'll need to be worried about, etc. And occasionally, when you make one of those predictions, and it's true, it feels good. Again, it's not part of your job to be right. It's part of your job to list the possibilities to help just build the story of what the match could be and where it's going. But sometimes you say things like, he's going to go mech, and you don't even know the map, and may God be with you, Kelaris.
I know you were trying to save me there initially, and then, throw me under the bus.
I hope he goes mech. Yeah. No, I hope he does.
Well, we'll see. We shall see. As it looked like he's going to go for a command center first, which does normally lead into SuperNova's mech play. But again, there could be all sorts of possibilities here. It is Daybreak once again. It's something that SuperNova is very, very comfortable in doing, as is VortiX going for his expansion at the same time. And dude, I don't even care if I've thrown myself under the bus. This is the potentially last series of the day, so I'm having a fun time.
Well, here's Barracks going down right now. SuperNova will be just trying to whack away at this one SCV. Because we've seen no gas geyser, Barracks number 2 is almost certainly on the way, but hey. VortiX, the bad boy. It looks like SuperNova is actually going to be going for a single refinery. So, Hellion play, triple command center is pretty much what SuperNova is saying to us right now. VortiX hasn't done anything except make drones expand and do all things that Zerg players would normally do.
Yeah, and outside from that, again, VortiX with that one map advantage, he could potentially actually take a few risks here if he wanted to. And VortiX is one of those players that does like to mix it up, but again, he falls on such a strong macro play. I would personally rather see him just stick with that macro, just go into that longer game. And again, he does prefer normally that Ling Infester into Ultra play, which played so well for him in game number 1.
I actually would love to see any long-term play, especially Mutalisk-based play, out of VortiX, given the structure of this map. I mean, Infester, Ling, Ultra, absolutely a common standard play on this map, but the Mutalisk can also work out quite well, given the fact that if a Terran is trying to extend an attack past this tower, whether he's going up or whether he's going down, he's leaving a lot of bases on the backside that are very weak to counterattacks. SuperNova is going for that Hellion play. We haven't seen any extra gas yet, so again, it's really looking a lot like he wants a third command center.
Yep, that would be very useful. And the SCV sent out to that location to be able to throw that down. Nicely done here by SuperNova, just pushing himself forwards into that macro game here. And for now, another SCV does get picked off. Doesn't spot any kind of third right now. And as such, VortiX just droning up like a madman. 9-10 drones on the way this early? Oh my god.
He's droning like a psychopath. He's addicted to gas.
He is, man. He is. As those double gases actually go down for VortiX to be able to give himself a little bit of extra gas there. And aside from that, we have the Starport on the way as well with that tech lab. So this is what we normally see from SuperNova, that Hellion and then Banshee poke forwards. Normally he will conjoin those two together to be able to go for a full frontal assault with the Hellions and the Banshees in the same location. And, that third command center going to be on the way and done in just a second.
Now, in defense of Kelaris, I will note that this opening with the double Hellion Banshee play, this can lead both into Marine Medevac, tank, kind of standard bio play. as well as mech. However, whether it's mech or whether it's that bio, the important thing is the consistent themes that a Terran player wants to be doing upgrades behind this. The Banshee Hellion play is extremely effective at preventing creep spread, keeping a player on the defensive, and with all that time bought, the best way to spend that time is on them ups.
Now, if he ends up getting 3 Banshees or something like that, then I almost... this is going to be so much fun. I'm throwing myself under the bus so much during this cast. But I really do think that he will end up continuing with that mech. He actually incorporates Banshees a lot into mech play as well, just to be able to really, really power out that DPS. For now, VortiX does have those 2 evolution chambers to be able to just seal the gap there at the natural. And the third on the rise here for VortiX. Not really going to be able to put on too much pressure, but the Hellion's looking to go for that push.
Some nice basic building placement by VortiX, totally flubs, and he lets 3 of those Hellions up there, and look at that, VortiX instantly target firing the weakened Hellion. VortiX rides out to meet the Hellions. He hasn't really lost that many drones at this point in time. There's a couple that get roasted, but look at this, Kalaris. VortiX is managing to avoid the worst of it. Wow, he only lost 8 workers, and there were 4 Hellions killed off. Suddenly now, if you're SuperNova, you've lost all your map control.
Hey, look, an armory going down.
No way. Did you really call mech before? Oh, my God.
As for now, he is going for a Spire.
No.
And we have those 5 drones on the way here for VortiX to be able to continue powering out them drones.
Here we see a single Banshee trying to do a little bit of harassment. I don't believe it. It's actually a mech play from SuperNova.
So much fun. Hey, Zergling's not going to be able to get into this base just yet. SuperNova here.
They may.
Deal with that.
A couple of Hellions at that backside, getting in the way of things. And Kalaris, ladies and gentlemen, before Game 2 even began, before Game 2 was even announced on the map, Kalaris called mech from SuperNova, and I present to you, mech. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. No problem.
Thank you very much.
I mean, it's actually a good call, given the fact that SuperNova is falling into these patterns that are recognizable as series-wide trends, that he likes to open bio, go into mech. VortiX, though, is the sort of player who just likes to trust his own play, to focus on his defense. He's having quite a bit of issues.
The thing that scares me for SuperNova, though, here in this game, he's actually going to be able to try and get a few Zergling kills here, but not actually going to be able to get them. He's actually, wow, he's got 21-2 workers. That's pretty insane. But if I am able to predict SuperNova here, I'm pretty sure VortiX is able to predict SuperNova here. That he's going for the Mutalisks as well as the Zerglings. So if he gets good surface area on mech at some point, it's going to work out really, really well for him. But again, if SuperNova gains speed, gains that third very, very quickly here off the back of a lot of Hellions to gain that map control, then it could get really, really dicey for VortiX.
There's SuperNova losing 1 Banshee. Second Queens, second Overseer up in the main base, and they are going to run right into another Banshee. Quite a lucky rally there for VortiX, but SuperNova plants down the cloak. VortiX abandons ship, and this is going to be such a pleasing moment for VortiX to get there and to go, oh my gosh, no third, what a relief.
Now, SuperNova is doing exactly the same he normally does with mech. He normally goes Thor, Hellion, and then eventually transitions into siege tanks. Now, missile turrets actually getting good coverage. Will be able to fend those Mutilators off from actually killing that add-on here. And he already is trying to clean up the Zerglings with 2 Banshees up to the north, so he can establish his third. And the blue flame is on the way, and he continues to add on Banshees like we mentioned before.
I will say that VortiX is doing kind of an interesting decision, getting that Baneling nest up. Counterintuitively, Banelings are not that bad of an option versus mech. Banelings have 30 life, but they don't have any armor type. So that means nothing does a bonus damage to a Baneling. So that does mean that things like Banelings can deal very well with Thor clusters or with clusters of Hellions even. But oh, Hellions are running up to that mineral patch again, and there's nothing there for VortiX to defend it.
Not at all. 30 workers killed, 32 now as the Zerglings come in to try and clean things up. A 33rd ends up dying off here for SuperNova. And VortiX looking still a little bit on the back foot. He's got 60 drones right now to the 71 SCVs, and with SuperNova establishing this third base, and he's up in terms of supply by 20, when this mech rolls out, it's going to hit so fiercely.
Mutalisk trying to step out, trying to do some kind of pressure back. There are 3 Thors here, and this is going to be a world of pain for VortiX to run right into. Boom, see you later, one Mutalisk. Little muta-bits all over the ground. With this 4th base coming up, ooh, I'm liking this. Baneling speed up as well. How does VortiX engage with just layer tech against a 3-basing mecher?
I must admit, I mean, despite actually knowing SuperNova's style very, very well, I actually don't know how VortiX normally would deal with some kind of mech build. So it's going to be very interesting to see how he's going to go up against it. These Hellions.
Triple Hellion again, just waltzing right on in, and they have the blue flame upgrade, so immediately VortiX is in a bunch of trouble, has lost so many more drones. He's going to lose about 10 in this.
SuperNova is looking to tie up the series so strongly here, as now he starts that tank production along with those Hellions and Thors already in a very, very high number here. 5 Thors alone are just so brutal to deal with sometimes, unless you end up getting really, really good coverage with, you know, Roaches and Zerglings, but most of the time against mech, you never really get the opportunity to do so. But look at this, he's actually going to go for a push.
Is he just going to try to target fire this front orbital command? We see that the Banelings are rolling right up. Instantly, that front Thor eats most of the damage, and VortiX is up against point defense drones. Lots of tanks. Zergling's starting to roll in. It's not looking that good for VortiX, but he's starting to do some nice retarget firing. The Zergling's rolling in, and somehow VortiX manages to discover a nice timing that leaves SuperNova feeling a little bit weak, but still manages to deal with it thanks to those Banshees just raining down pain from above. I mean, VortiX is going to have to replenish Mutas. He needs something to take down those Banshees.
Yeah, these 6 Banshees are so difficult to deal with when you go for that kind of frontal push. It's almost always, unless you end up going for some really weird, like, extra Corruptors in that push, it's almost like just guaranteed damage there and then. There's not really a whole lot Zerg can do about it when they're going to go for the push, so that makes the 3rd super, super safe off the back of this mech as well. So SuperNova for now, just kind of replenishing his siege tanks. Interestingly enough, actually not replenishing his Thor count just yet, and that could come back to bite him if he actually ends up. Actually, no, I don't think we're going to see really too much for VortiX to actually bite him without those Thors. So with a nice siege tank count, it'll be okay.
With a pair of Blue Flame Hellions at 2-2. Those drones are 2-shottable. So VortiX is yet again losing a lot of workers to this harassment. Hive now incoming.
Yep, Infestation Pit already down. That Pathogen Gland is going to be researched here, so VortiX going to try and go back into his true tried and tested build of Infestors. And I mean, how well do Ultralisks really work against mech and something like that?
They work well, but only if you're doing a lot of counter-attacking. That's what makes it quite strong. The fact that the Ultras can swing around, and then a whole bunch of unsieged tanks and Thors have to get their ass back there as quick as possible before too much dies. Raven in production for SuperNova, yeah, that's fine. It's not really going to be the big wowie-zowie part. The 3-3 maxed army is really going to be the deal breaker for the Zerg.
And for now, the Roach is going to be able to pick off one of the Hellions there. 5th base going to be going down to the bottom right-hand corner here for VortiX. And those Infestors are on the way. Now, of course, he does already have that Spire out because of what we saw earlier on. So he could quite easily go into Broodlords to be able to deal with this mech as well. The only problem is that sometimes you end up seeing SuperNova add on a lot of Vikings off the back of this, just a little bit. And he's actually replenishing the Thors. And if he, what are his upgrades sitting at the moment, actually? I would love to know. 2-2.
SuperNova's sitting, chilling at 2-2. VortiX is trying to find some way to trap all these Hellions. Oh, no! He brought them a gift!
Oh, and meanwhile, we actually have so many Banshees in the main as well, ripping apart the spawning pool. But the Fungal's actually landing on a lot of these Banshees as well. He's trying to kill off what he can, but he's losing so many valuable Infestors in the process. 3 Banshees do end up dying, though, and 2 more left here to continue the pain.
Oh, where's the extra Fungal? SuperNova dealing massive damage. VortiX says screw it and tries to just rally forth, but with any number of siege tanks against Roaches, it will never be looking very good for the Roaches at all.
Yeah, these two Banshees still trying to put on some aggression here in the main. And one of them does end up dying off onto one of those queens, thanks to the fact that the Overseer is present. And Mutalisk transition actually here for VortiX. So he is, I mean, how much anti-air does he really have? Just the 3 4s?
Yeah, he has 3
3
Thors. And
PDD, I guess.
oh my god, well there's 17 more roaches in production. These tanks are not sieged. Oh, SuperNova. What on earth? SuperNova makes an incredible blunder, advancing forward without any of his stuff sieged. SuperNova, I can't believe made that big of an error. Tanks unsieged on creep, only 3 Thors. VortiX making a huge shove back, point defense drone down. This pair of siege tanks is actually going to be a pretty significant impediment thanks to that one planetary fortress there to back it up. And with these other siege tanks at the top, VortiX is thwarted, but I mean, 4 siege tanks completely shut down that roach counterattack. But over 12 siege tanks died because they weren't sieged up in mid, and that is a real blessing for VortiX after all the damage SuperNova's been doing. He just threw away a lot.
Yeah, a really lovely push in there by VortiX to be able to just exploit the weaknesses that he finds in his opponent. Right now, though, SuperNova is replenishing those Thors, and I would love to see him get 3-3, because Javelin missiles with 3-3 are actually pretty good against Broodlords if you're able to get the surface area with them, as long as you've got that Hellion backing to be able to rip apart those Broodlings. So for now, SuperNova trying to find a little bit of an area to be able to put on some aggression again with these Hellions, but look at this. He's killed 65 workers across this entire game, and they're both still sitting at 72 drones to 72 SCVs.
A little bit of a lack of expansion scouting from VortiX. You can tell he's feeling quite a bit flustered. He's not playing as clear-headedly. This is just an awkward position to be in as VortiX when you're up against a meching player on the map Daybreak. Super uncommon, very, very solid once you get to this 4-5 base moment. 10 mules on the map right now. SuperNova needs to sack some SCVs so we can actually get a stronger army.
Look at that income tab. Jeez, he's at 3K minerals a minute to the 1,300 a minute here of VortiX. So if you ever wanted to fuel mech, this is certainly the way to do it here on Daybreak. As for now, we have the Ultralisk Cavern on the way, 3-3, as well as those adrenal glands to just go back into what VortiX is so comfortable with. But against mech, it might get a little bit dicey.
Now, I will note, I just got an awesome result. Hasuobs versus MC. Hasu manages to win 2-1, which means that whoever wins this series is first place in the group.
Wait, what? Did you? Hasu won 2-1 versus MC?
Yep, Hasuobs has some of the prettiest PvP in the known universe, and all it takes is being pretty to beat the best Protoss in the world.
He is a pretty guy, I must admit. That Hasu, a handsome fellow. No bias whatsoever. As for now, we will have VortiX just continuing to evaluate and re-establish this army here. He's adding on a few more Ultralisks, in turn getting that chitinous plating down to be able to really make them super cost effective. But again, the armor is nowhere near not as normally as useful against, say for example, if your opponent was going for bio, because of the way in which damage is dealt by mech.
Yeah, it's kind of unclear who has an edge at this point in time. SuperNova, starting to fly that one over the top. VortiX going to get himself a free medevac. Just has to be careful not to let them unload up on this high ground, which he will. Blue Flame Hellions immediately unload. They will get themselves a couple of free kills on those good old drones, Ultra Pops.
Gets himself some nice intel there. Actually, did he already know that there was the Ultralisk Cavern going down? Where is the Ultralisk Cavern, actually?
I would imagine the Ultralisk Cavern is by the 3rd base, but, you know, imagining doesn't help much. It's at the 2nd base.
Yeah.
Almost always VortiX is putting his structures in the middle of where his 3 bases are going to be, so that way it's difficult to drop and pick one off.
He's built 140 workers over the course of this game. That is insanity. As for now, VortiX is going to be maxed out, as is SuperNova. This game could still go on for much time here, as SuperNova, I don't think anybody's going to really budge at this point on these 5 bays.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to justify moving for either player.
Yeah.
I mean, the real question is, can one of these players take one of either the south or the north position? If you can secure both the south and the north, maybe not at the same time, but just over the course of the game, that is going to be the big key. But I mean, if SuperNova keeps getting in here and VortiX keeps letting this happen, then VortiX is going to be, again, building over 150 drones this game instead of just over 140.
Yeah, and this is just what SuperNova is just going to do all game long from this point on, unless he wants to go for some massive frontal death push. He's just going to keep dropping those Hellions here, there, everywhere, killing off drones, and eventually trying to starve out his opponent to the point where his opponent just wants to walk into that mech force. And look at this, 3-3 Thors, 10 of them waddling around the map in synchronization there, and they are just so devastating in terms of DPS.
Uh-oh. Looks like VortiX has decided that now's the time. He instantly mind controls some of those Thors, turns around and tries to take out the Raven. A nice little move and does successfully get one. But, I mean, SuperNova having these 3-3 Thors just picks off the Ultras in rapid succession.
Yeah, you just can't push into mech. It just... when it's found this kind of speed, when it's found this kind of, momentum, it's so difficult to be able to break that position. And now with SuperNova adding on Ravens even here and getting those air weapons upgrades, he knows that potential Broodlords could always come in. A nice surround there, though, by VortiX.
VortiX, he's not giving up yet. He's going to continue to drill in. Looks like all the Vikings have landed, but there are 7 Ultralisks in production. I think VortiX might find this to be his opportunity. He's just going to be going Ling Ultra. He's got to be very, very careful that he doesn't overcommit to ground, because then those Vikings are going to go on a killing spree on Overlords all around the map.
I'm a little worried for SuperNova, actually. All he has out on the field to be able to deal with VortiX right now, if he doesn't end up going for Broodlords, is 5 Hellions and 9 tanks, with the support of those Ravens. And he will push in once again those Ultralisks, tanking a lot of damage as he goes forwards here. Even Corruptor's coming along to, try and soak up some damage from the...
Wow, the Zerglings are doing a great job getting in there. The tank's falling rapidly, and VortiX has managed to find a crack in the armor. He's heading up to this north base, but he still needs a lot more firepower to be able to take down a planetary fortress. The Vikings land. VortiX is going to sack a lot of units for nothing here. He's getting close to taking it down, and he's unable to do so.
SuperNova with a fantastic repair there and a fantastic reinforce, able to save that base. He's throwing down even more. Look at how much money SuperNova has banked up here. He's adding on so many tanks, even getting Hunter Seeker missiles as well as that Corvid reactor for those Ravens. And once again, VortiX trying to make something happen, but SuperNova is 40 supply up on his opponent right now, getting good coverage on those tanks once again with those Zerglings, but look at how quickly that Zerg force melts. GG.
And there's the GG. SuperNova evens up the series. Kind of a funky game.
Yep. I'm not going to make any predictions for Game 3. I've had my time. It was monumental, and I'll leave it there. I've retired. Thank you.
Well, either way, it doesn't change the fact that whoever wins this series advances as the winner of the group. There is no longer a possibility of tiebreakers. Though Hasuabs did get eliminated in this Group D, he went out with a really nice victory against MC. So that will put MC at 3-2 in the group. But man, VortiX not really able to deal with this constant, incessant Hellion harass that was killing frickin' everything that he threw at him.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to deal with. And actually, now that I look at the results here, now that SuperNova has taken a map, does that mean that he is guaranteed first, or is that not the case?
It's whoever wins this series will be first in the group.
Right, okay, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, because what we were looking at is, even if VortiX does win this series, SuperNova overall will have better statistics on maps.
Okay.
VortiX will have lost way more games overall, but still, that's accounted for second. First, it's just score, and then head-to-head score, and then after that, it's maps.
Okay. VortiX asks if he wins, he's first. And he says whoever wins first place here. So informing these players of the very, very important factor in this, because again, you were able to advance past that first stage of the bracket tomorrow if you are first, which an extra win, that means extra money, that means extra potential of being able to move on through to those semis and final. Very, very nice.
And I almost feel like the biggest advantage of all is knowing that you get to start a little later in the day with a little more rest. You don't have to have that strain of going through a best-of-5, having to put your everything on the line in just a round of 16 match, and then go, okay, now I got to do it again in the quarterfinals, and again in the semifinals, and again in the finals. It's going to be an endurance contest over the next few days.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump right into game number 3 here. We're going to be on Entombed Valley to kick things off. So, day 9, why don't you take it away?
Up in the top right corner from Spain, showing a lot of flair in the series today and may be able to secure a win in first place in Group D. It is VortiX.
And spawning down in the bottom right-hand corner here as our blue Terran, bringing a fiery game himself there in game number 2. Give it up for MTW SuperNova.
Now, these are some really interesting positions. On the map, Entombed Valley, one of the smallest maps in the entire map pool. In the closest positions on the map, VortiX now is up against a lot of threats if SuperNova decides to do some sort of early 1 or even 2 base aggression. But likewise, VortiX can do a little bit of early attacking of his own. I mean, even something as simple as like a 1 base Baneling bus can be, or excuse me, 2 base Baneling bus can be super threatening.
Yeah, it really can. And I mean, considering the way in which we've seen SuperNova open, especially on Daybreak, for example, with that very early 3rd command center, then it gets a little bit dicey as to how much defense you can really establish against those early aggressionary moves. And again, I love the word aggressionary, but I really need to kind of pattern that somehow. That would be very nice.
Well, SuperNova looks like he's going for the 1-Rax expand.
Oh,
it's not going to be anything too exceptional in terms of the opening stage, and I think this is actually going to be the first opportunity we have to see a kind of straightforward match between these two, at least in the very opening stages. We've been seeing SuperNova do a little bit more of the cutesy command center first stuff, but VortiX finally going to be up against a normal 1-Rax expoer.
This is a really interesting scouting position method here for SuperNova, actually going around this arc here to be able to scout out this location. I'm pretty sure it doesn't go that way by default. As for now, the drone's going to come up here, spot that expansion, and oh no, he didn't spot it. But I mean, he's going to know with the Overlord eventually, I'm assuming. So.
Yeah, I mean, he really should have some sort of idea of that. He's sending the second Overlord straight on down. And given that VortiX is already at 18 of 18 and really hasn't done that much saving, I would expect him to be saying, oh yeah, I'm totally up against some sort of passive play. There's the double refinery, so it looks like it will be some type of factory-based play. SuperNova sees that there's an Overlord. This is actually quite cute. It has a little bit of consideration. Do I really want to go shoot at that? Is there going to be a drone scout running up into my main that I'll accidentally miss? I mean, you can see SuperNova aware of some of the possibilities.
Yeah, and for now, SuperNova still sharking around in his opponent's base, keeping an eye on things going on. He wants to make sure his opponent isn't throwing down those really early gas geysers. He wants to make sure that there's no super aggression coming from VortiX here in this very, very pivotal match, as both of these players looking to be able to advance on past that first round of that group, that bracket.
Kind of a cute moment. The SCV left, and immediately VortiX threw down 2 Vespene gas geysers. And with the amount of money he's saved up, I'm kind of surprised that VortiX hasn't actually built another macro hatch or even built 2 more queens.
Yeah, I mean, 2 more queens, able to bolster that front, able to get that creep spread going a little bit quicker. And the 4-queen style, very, very common right now. And, you know, the middle of this map, once again, acts like Ohana. Very easy to get that creep spread going because it's all one flat plane. And from there, you're able to really kind of gain that psychological advantage if you're poking, knocking on the door of your opponent.
Oh my gosh, it looks like VortiX is doing what could be the anti-SuperNova strat. He's going for the Roach Warren followed by Link Speed. Just did the last round of drones and a Baneling nest.
Oh, hello.
VortiX, he's just gonna go for the win right here and now. And how is SuperNova gonna answer? SuperNova's actually doing a good answer. He's preparing for a little bit of a push himself. Combat Shield coming up. Stim, what will it be? Combat Shield would be devastating. No, it's going to be Stim. This is really not going to help SuperNova very much.
Yep, SuperNova for now pushes out with these 2 Hellions. These 2 Hellions, if they actually poke forwards for some reason without, you know, another 2 Hellions, they need to somehow find the intel here to be able to spot that Roach Warren and Baneling Nest. And look at how VortiX is rallying his units all around this arc down at the bottom, down in the east even. And for now, those Hellions looking to see if there's a third, and he's not going to spot it, so that might give him a little indication.
Yeah, this is bunker time for SuperNova. He's really got to go build that bunker.
And he's building Marauders.
Oh, this is actually an early bust play.
Uh-oh, and he sees a lot of Roaches marching across the map there with those Hellions, so he's confident in that choice to build the Marauders. Meanwhile,
there's the double bunker.
Uh-oh, this could be
very bad. But there's Banelings here at the right side that have been slowly morphing in. SuperNova looks like he doesn't expect the Banelings yet. Banelings just now revealing themselves. This is going to be more than enough to bust down the front door. He needs to pick off the Banelings. He does manage to pick off a good number of them, but here they are darting up to the top, and see you later, bunker. And there's the bust in. VortiX is looking decent, but there's a lot of Marine Marauder here. SuperNova is designed to defend this attack.
Yeah, he somehow needed to bring down that Marauder count. He's not going to be able to do here just yet. As for now, he's microing back very, very nicely as SuperNova. That second bunker on the defensive. Very useful against these Roaches. And the aggression here for VortiX has been thwarted for now.
SuperNova with just the right answer. I mean, SuperNova doing a completely different style 3 games in a row. If SuperNova had gone for that third command center, he would be dead. This was just a meta game read from VortiX that went awry, but God, what a bold play from VortiX.
I mean, off the back of that, I mean, the fact that VortiX wasn't successful with that, SuperNova was gearing up for some aggression himself, right, with the Hellions, Marauder, Marine composition.
Oh, yeah. In fact, he's still absolutely going to do it. He has an even better reason to. He knows his opponent doesn't have speed Banelings, speed Roaches. It's all just basic hatch tech, and VortiX is going to have to build a lot more Roaches if he wants to hold this off. A lot more Banelings, a lot of something to deflect this push.
Yeah, and that's going to really bite into his lava count and thus potential drone count later on. Stim goes down here, though. Actually, SuperNova just going to continue to push in, trying to micro back as much as he can do. That's a lot of Roaches and a lot of Zerglings, but are they going to be able to break through this force? It looks like there's not that many Marauders left over.
SuperNova is just going to get beat down here. He has 8 Hellions, a lot of harassment potential. I mean, if VortiX leaves his base, 10 Hellions are going to walk up and just kill everything, so VortiX can't exactly leave his base, but what VortiX may very well do is just get Roach speed and go for all-in number 2. I mean, there's just not a lot of options for VortiX.
He's getting melee weapons as well as Carapace here to be able to aid those Zerglings and potential Banelings if he so desires to, but there we go. The drone sent out for the third. Yeah, so VortiX wants to play a little bit of a longer game to kick things off as the Hellions come along once again, poking away at those Zerglings. That's really, really decimating for them. They're really, really brutal. As for now, he can't actually kill those the Hellions with the Roaches because they're just gonna, you know, walk away, and he's always gonna get those free shots like that.
I mean, SuperNova is continuing to just be amazing with his aggression right up in the face of VortiX with these units, start to finish. SuperNova now backing up, going for the Marines, an extra command center and engineering bay. Look at this, SuperNova parking right outside the front. VortiX is going to try to go for a surround, but SuperNova's a little bit too alert for that.
Meanwhile, forcing the cancellation on that third there, really well done by that little bio force as SuperNova constantly bringing down that Zergling count. And actually, that's a lot of bio and Hellions. If he's not careful with those Roaches, he could bring a lot of them down, especially with Clear Reconstitution not finished yet.
But a lot of life wasted in that stim, and now we see VortiX spreading himself out. SuperNova forced to retreat a second time. Without a starport, there's really not that much that SuperNova can do. Has to pull back.
And we see centrifugal hooks as well as more Zerglings and Roaches in production here for VortiX. Plus 2 weapons going to be going down for those Zerglings and Banelings as well. And again, VortiX is in a really tight bind. SuperNova's always going to know when a third goes down because of that Hellion location, and he drops the scan to just get, you know, a little bit of extra confirmation that there's units morphing in, and he even sees, does he see the Banelings morphing in?
I mean, he can see them. I don't know if he was looking there. He scanned it, identified what was up, and in this position, SuperNova literally just needs to wall off all his fronts with supply depots and siege the tanks up right in the neck. Yep. And now there's no way, there's a 0% chance that SuperNova can lose to a push.
SuperNova, for now, just throwing down extra barracks to be able to really ramp up that macro as soon as he wants to be able to take that third. Even, oh, I love the siege tank positioning here on the middle, between the second and third as well. It's very, very difficult to be able to break that location there from the Zerg. And Alien's just chilling out in the middle of the map for now. Did get a little bit tickled there.
I'm curious how VortiX thinks he's going to be able to go into the long-term game. I mean, in a sense, he might just think, yeah, I'm totally screwed, but just be playing it out for the sake of playing it out.
Yeah. And for now, the Hellions still overextending maybe just a little bit there, getting a few Zerg kills, but not really enough to warrant their deaths. And for now, VortiX has lost quite a lot in that unit loss tab, a little bit more than SuperNova here, and, you know, considering both players have mined exactly the same amount pretty much, it's not too easy. Actually, no, with the Mules, I think SuperNova might have mined a little bit more, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, VortiX is going to try to get into some good position with this, but I honestly feel like he'll just move forward, get one shot of damage, and then just pull right back.
Yeah. For now, more roaches being added on here, plus 2-2 going down for VortiX. He might just be trying to hit this 2-2 timing, actually. I mean, he's gotten an expansion on the way, yes, and he actually will push in here. Stim goes down to try and thwart this, but there's so many Banelings flooding in.
Oh,
the small
tanks
cracks.
just wrecking the Baneling count. Hardly anything connects. SuperNova will be able to just destroy this with some basic stutter step control. And there, see you later, force push. SuperNova's now getting ready to go into a little harassment mode.
Oh, VortiX making so many lings once again, throwing down that infestation pit here. It still seems as if he wants to be aggressive, but again, with the siege tanks positioned where they were, it's so difficult as a Zerg to be able to break that.
SuperNova, again, having the Marines there ready. I mean, VortiX just put up an incredible fight in this series, but SuperNova is just so resilient, now putting the pressure back on VortiX.
As he continues that little harassment here. 4 workers killed right now for SuperNova, not anything too major just yet, and is forced to pick up once again, but he's 30 supply ahead of VortiX right now. VortiX just going back to droning as he's at 58 drones to the 65 SCVs here. So SuperNova looking really, really good in game number 3.
Up in mid-map, SuperNova now knows that he's going to be able to seize up map control. VortiX adding on these 2 refineries, and SuperNova is really doing a timely job with these drops. This is right when he wants to push. This is right when VortiX wants to be in the middle of the map, preventing Terran from walking out. But look at Terran literally marching right to the front door of VortiX. Oh gosh, the worst place to be in as a Zerg.
Oh dear me, this is looking really, really bad for him indeed here. Those siege tanks have got really nice positions, just spread out so well here. And that one right in that top corner next against that ramp is so difficult to break. Baneling is going to roll forward to try and connect, and actually they did connect with a little bit of that bio down on the south side, but so many Marines still alive here, going to rip apart that roach count, and this third is totally vulnerable now.
Zerglings in production. Roaches pop out, weaken tanks at the front, but still no huge damage dealer like a fungal growth or a Baneling blast. SuperNova just sieged up, slowly eating away.
The really nice fungal there actually to be able to seal off a lot of that bio. These Zerglings are actually able to close the gap. They popped just at the right time there, so VortiX will hold for now.
I mean, VortiX is holding on, but VortiX is in a bad, bad position. There's a giant doom drop of medevacs trying to find a home somewhere in the middle of the map. VortiX is... It's almost funny the way that VortiX has basically gone, I'm all in. Nah, I'm going to drone up a little bit. All right, I'm all in. Nah, let me drone a little bit more. And amazingly has whatever it is that he needs to hold off a push at the time. Another stutter, all those units, but SuperNova just has too much.
I don't really know if he's going to be able to hold this. Fungals have to be absolutely pristine here. He throws down one. It's a little bit of a waste to get that little bit of an bioforce there. And these siege tanks doing a lot of damage. GG, well played. SuperNova will finish #1 in Group D. Congratulations to him. Day 9. Wowie, wow, wow.
Well, we certainly saw that VortiX can take out the best of the best in 2 epic games, but in that game number 3, we found out what goes wrong when you try to metagame your opponent and you're just a little bit off on your read. I mean, VortiX, I would honestly say that 90% of Terrans are going for some variant on a 3 command center Hellion play. The Hellion Banshee is so strong. VortiX's push was perfect for killing that off, but didn't work. So that means that we have all the players known from all qualifier groups. Group D, those people are SuperNova in first, VortiX in second, and MC in third.
Yep, so, and just coming to Group A, we have Nurture, 4GG, sort of, and then B, we do have MVP, Violet, and Cass.
Group C, I'm surprised with the results of Bomber, Slivko, and Elfie being in the top 3 in that order. So in the qualifying groups, it looks like there are only 2 Pronosses again, Elfie and MC. All the rest is actually mostly Terrans, it appears. 4GG, MVP, Koss, Bomber, and SuperNova. The other 5 will be those Zergs. And of course, in celebration of SuperNova's win, people want signatures from MC.
Yep, why not? I mean, he's a pretty cool guy. But they'll be good for Supernovas as well. He showed a really, really phenomenal game, as did VortiX as well. No doubt they'll be wanting his signature. And we'll be seeing these guys all tomorrow in that group, in that bracket. And again, this bracket is actually shaping up to be absolutely ridiculous.
So we will be signing out for the evening. I hope you enjoyed day 3 of IEM Gamescom number 3. So before we do any of the official closing out ceremonies, we're going to throw it up to the main stage with Jared.
And I am here with the winner and most dominant player so far of the tournament, MTW SuperNova. When MC wins a lot, he's been known to often credit his manager as being a great manager. Do you also credit your manager for your success?
너도 지금 민철이는 그 매니저 때문에 우승 많이 한다고 하는데 너도 매니저 때문에 잘하는지?
네, MTW가 좀 잘 챙겨줘가지고 좀 게임에만 전념할 수 있어서 이렇게 성적이 잘 나오는 것 같아요.
Well, actually, I mean, he just joined MTW, and MTW is taking really, really good care of him, and he can focus on his game. So he thinks that's one of the reasons he's like playing so well.
Great. And now that you've got a bye in the playoffs, you finished first in the groups, do you have any opponent that you would prefer to face when you get there?
너 지금 1등으로 올라왔는데 너가 여기 올라온 선수 중에서 누구 무서운 선수 있는지, 그냥 안 만나고 싶은 선수 있는지?
딱히 무서운 선수는 없고 아무나 다 이길 수 있을 것 같아요.
Well, there's no one that he fears, and he thinks he can beat anyone.
Well, it looks that way. I'll be totally honest. Your play today was unbelievably good. I am so impressed, and everybody here was so impressed. Very well played. Good game. Get a good sleep, and come back and show us that play again, please. Thank you.
잘 자고 그냥 내일 경기 잘 보여주라고.
Do you want to say anything to anybody before you go?
I love you, my fans. Yeah.
Yeah! And that concludes day 3 of the Intel Extreme Masters Gamescom. Please come back tomorrow when the playoffs start and we see more play like what we saw today from this guy. Out of this world. It's going to be amazing. I'll see you then.